people, and I'm one among them. I still remember 4 years back in Varanasi, in Jilf, he put me on with a person called Vishnu Karthik. Some of you would be knowing him, and he called it a big fight. He asked me to defend traditional learning against Vishnu, who speaks, eats, breathes experiential learning. And it was a wonderful 20-minute entertainment for everyone. But here again, he has given me this opportunity to speak in front of so many experienced master trainers. But all I'm going to do is just go through my journey right from the beginning. And I've penned down my thoughts and experiences. There are too many in that. So to make it simple for you, I'm going to give you 10 commandments. I'm sure some of you must have heard this movie, 10 Commandments. So something like that, which will be an easy takeaway for you as we move forward. So I'm from Chennai, and I started my schooling. The one thing that came along with me all through, right from the beginning, was adversity. At every stage, I had to face challenges. At that time, I didn't realize that these challenges are going to make me a better person. But yes, I took it on as it came by. My schooling was, I had to do my schooling at a very, very far distance. I used to walk nearly 10 kilometers a day, take a bus journey of around 13 kilometers, and then come back again. But that's not about it. When I finished my grade 12, I had 90% of marks. And for those of you who are from Tamil Nadu would understand, getting 90% is not a boon, it's a bane. You are neither going to get admission in a pass course, nor going to admission in a specialized education like engineering. So that was my second adversity, and then I moved on to a job where I was placed in a corporate setup. I was about to be given a job in a managerial position, but then they asked me to go to a school to first understand the nuances of what happens in a school. So that's how I came into education. So I came into education not by choice, but by chance. But then once I'm in, I took it up fully because I loved this job. I had the privilege of working with nearly 8 principals during my tenure. I have seen the solved to the sophisticated, to the royal, to the visionary. I've seen it all. But the one thing that I learned during my experience is that vision is very, very important in life. Without a vision, if you're going to be a leader, it's going to take you nowhere. And just not the vision, it's how you're going to achieve that vision, the pace at which you're going to achieve. Because in one of my, in my tenure, in one of the cases, a fantastic person, but then the pace was not okay. So things didn't go well. So the right pace of taking, to the vision is also very, very important. And as somebody said rightly, it's just not about people learning how to do and what to do. It's also not about learning what not to do. That's again an integral part of your learning. And I think I was able to do that because a lot of mistakes were committed, and I understood that these are the things that one shouldn't be doing. And as educators, future principals, I would urge all of you, don't do something that you don't like someone to do to you as a principal. But 2 things that came along with me from childhood, which is helping me even till date. One is that I used to do small things right, like being punctual, getting the deadlines correct, greeting people, being nice to them. So when you keep doing this repeatedly, as Aristotle said, what you repeatedly do it's not an act, it's an excellence. We are what we repeatedly do. And then it becomes, an excellence. So when I did that repeatedly, there was a goodwill that was created amongst my colleagues, and that helped. And number 2, right from my beginning till now, I have never ever gone back home on a particular day without doing the work that is slated for the day. So no procrastination. So here is first commandment, thou shalt never procrastinate, for time lost is always opportunity denied. I joined Mayo College at a very young age, at 21. And then again, there was an adversity there. I was given a set of systems which were totally obsolete, something which I wasn't very convenient or conversant with. But then I started co-creating with whatever I had with students. And very early in age, that co-creation with students started happening, and that brought the students very, very close to me. They would be doing their projects and I would be preparing for the lessons next day. And I had one of the most brilliant of the batches when I joined Mayo College in the first year, and they taught me what adaptability is. At 22, I became the head of the Department of Computer Science. Probably it's a history. Nobody becomes a HOD in 22. But there was one thing about Mayo College. I had about 20 or more peers, senior teachers, who had experience of more than 35 years working in Mayo College at that time. And the beauty about them is they never used to raise their voice. They never used to lose their temper. But then even their small guidance would work. People would take note of it and they would do the job. That made me to realize that the power to serve and impact is much more superior than the power to command. And that's one thing I learned. I would like to share a small episode that happened. Like in any school, the students give nicknames to teachers. So the students gave me a nickname and I wasn't very happy about it. So I started reacting. But then I didn't realize that this is going to be getting bigger and bigger. So the more I reacted, the more it became prevalent. And then the entire school was calling me by that name. So I went to a senior teacher whom I looked up to, and I told him, sir, this is happening and I'm really troubled by it. He said, I'm going to give you a bitter pill. You have to swallow it and it'll be all right. I said, what is he talking? I'm talking of something which is troubling me and he's talking about a pill. And then he said, you just have to ignore. I said, but they are calling me by name and you ask me to ignore? He said, start doing it, you will find the result in some time. Believe you me, 3 months, 6 months to a year, it's all gone. Nobody ever called by that name again. So I realized in life that there will be a lot of noises and you have to still remain focused. You have to take what is important and leave the rest. That is a life lesson that I learned during that time. I also learned that we need to create a team, which is very, very important if you have to succeed in life. And Mayo College taught me that skill of creating the team by virtue of commanding the respect, not demanding. So that is something which it was very close to my heart, and I realized the difference between a manager, a leader, and a visionary. A manager would probably go down with the mundane tasks on a daily basis. A leader would inspire the staff to work beyond the salary day, but then it is a visionary who would do everything right and also plan for the future. So here is my second commandment: thou shalt choose service over power and trust over fear. In a school like Mayo College, there is always a lot to take. In addition to taking up the regular duties as a tutor, as an assistant housemaster, I was also an NCC officer. I became an IT coordinator at a very young age again. And then the most important event of the tenure came that time when I was asked to do a campus-wide LAN. Mayo College, I don't know how many of you are aware, it's about 186-acre campus. It's a huge one. And to do a campus-wide LAN was not an easy task. So we roped in L&T to support us, but then I was the only person on behalf of the school to execute the project. It was a massive project. There were trenches all over. There were 11 kilometers of fiber that was laid inside the campus to connect the various areas. So I was given a mandate to kind of measure the trench that was laid, because the fibers have to be laid at a depth of 5.5 feet. And I used to take a stick and I used to measure it every time, and it was very time consuming. Suddenly one day, as I was measuring it, I fell into the trench, only to realize that my height was 5.5 feet. So why am I measuring it with a stick? So from that time, I just walked along the trench, and wherever I saw some ground on on some space on the top, I would ask them to dig it there. So life teaches you skills even when you fall down. So the best thing is, when you fall down, just don't be there, wake up again and move on. That's something which I learned. As I said, in Mayo College, there were plenty of opportunities. It's all about taking those opportunities. So right from an IT coordinator to, I had done 7 mountaineering expeditions with my students. I also became an MIE expert, a Microsoft Innovative Educator expert. resource person with the NCRT, and of course chief protocol officer, to name a few. But then the versatility started showing up. I could do more tasks than getting myself confined into the IT department, and that is something which the school leaders realized and started giving me more and more jobs which are not confined to the IT department. Setbacks were there, but I always looked at it as learning opportunities and not roadblocks. So here is commandment number 3. Thou shalt wear many hats with grace, for versatility is the teacher's armor. Moving on, I realized that if I have to achieve something in life, foundation building is very, very important, and one important aspect of foundation building is the work culture and consistency. Consistency is something which was very close to my heart. Consistently doing something will reap rich dividends. I handled a huge network, a lot of complaints that used to come, and I used to attend it very quickly. Of course, I had team members who used to do that. But what that did was, it created again a lot of goodwill for me. The teachers and the management started feeling that he is the go-to person if there is a challenge. And that way, I started getting more and more responsibilities. To the extent that even the vice principal and senior management started discussing some of the school functions. It was a win-win for both of us, because I was learning more about the various administrative functions of the school, and at the same time giving me an opportunity to interact with them, and they were able to solve some of the issues that were posing them at that point in time. One thing which I did was the exposure to students. A number of times I would kind of give them an opportunity to enhance their knowledge. We used to do a lot of workshops, be it in robotics, be it in design thinking, be it in IoT. A lot of workshops used to happen throughout the year. Mayo College never had the dearth of funds, so I had a free hand, and that helped me the real connect with the students, and they were winning a lot of events at the national level as they participated. In 2007 was my first tryst with the human resource. I conducted the first IPSC IT. Some 250 students from various schools, 25 schools had participated, and it was a great success. Then came, of course, this consistency being there for some time now, the accolades and awards started flowing in. In 2009, we did the Round Square Conference, International Round Square Conference, 750 delegates coming into Mayo College. It was a huge conference. You will be surprised to know the principal of Mayo College resigned just a year before that, and we did it without a head. It was a core committee members, about 15 members. We took it upon ourselves, and we decided that we will be able to do it. And as per the Round Square committee, that was the best conference they've ever attended. So, the self-belief is something which you should have, and when you have that and you are able to execute it, I'm sure the results will be successful. Then came a number of national awards. I was awarded for the computer literacy, for the best IT-enabled setup in the country, and of course, the pinnacle of all, I was awarded with the National Award for ICT Innovation by the President of India in 2012. Very, very, heartening and reassuring for the work that I did. These awards definitely, gives you a lot of strength to move forward. In 2014 and 15, I was invited by Microsoft, had a one-on-one with Satya Nadella, and he discussed with me how Microsoft can work closely with schools. I was one among the 7 teachers chosen from India to be representing the country. And again, Smart Technologies also called me to be a part of their core committee in how to enhance their products in 2015. That was in Calgary in Canada. Not bragging about what I achieved, but all I'm trying to say is just being consistent brought me all the laurels. Nothing special that I did during this tenure. So here is commandment number 4. Thou shalt be consistent in work and character, for culture is built in small daily choices. As an IT administrator, I was in charge of implementing a very future-looking curriculum for the students. Up to grade 8, as you're aware, all the principals can have their own curriculum. There is no such binding. So I had my team, myself, preparing a very highly future-ready curriculum, which was totally experiential learning and concept-based. And we used to author the books, and those books were used by the children. And this gave us the confidence. It was all in proprietary matter. There was some which was on open source, but lot on proprietary. But the advantage that it gave to the students was that whatever they learned, they were able to do it experientially in the classroom, in the labs. And that was a great success. One thing that I kept in mind was that whatever we do should have context to it, just not content. So when you give context to it, there is a lot of understanding in it. And of course, one of the topics which is very close to my heart is the extracurricular activities. I took the students to a lot of field trips and surveys. In one such survey, we took them to a village. We thought we'll do something with GM crops. We will sensitize the farmers of GM crops. Only to realize when we went there, when we talked about GM, he was talking to us about GM crops. It was called already crops, GM ka ho raha tha. So, we felt like we were something superior, in terms of talking to them, something which they wouldn't know, and then it came as a surprise. We also did a project of putting up a small radio station at Mayo College, and the students would do podcasts, which would be, given to the villagers, especially the girl students across near 20 villages. That project never saw the light of the day, but we started preparing for it. There were government approvals that were required. Of course, that didn't happen, and it was not to be. Something which is very close to my heart is a transparent environment, and I always believed, and somebody said, sir said, I think, when you want to reprimand someone, do it in a closed door, and when you want to applaud, do it publicly. I remember an episode of Professor Satish Dhawan of Sriharikota when they were launching the SLV-3 rocket. He was a mission director, and APJ Abdul Kalam sir was the project director. Just before the launch, the systems were giving a warning which these people ignored, and they launched the rocket and they put it in the sea. So the press was gunning for a lot of money was spent. So the press was gunning for the person who was instrumental in this failure. And can you believe it? He didn't send Dr. Abdul Kalam to face the press. Professor Satish Dhawan himself went to speak to the press. And he took the blame on himself and said, give me 1 year and I have full faith in my team, and we will be able to put the rocket next year. The very next year, Dr. Abdul Kalam and his team was able to successfully place the satellite in the orbit. And at that point in time, to the press, he sent Dr. Kalam to speak. So hallmark of a true leader is that when you have a failure, it is you take it on yourself. And when you have success, you let your team go and enjoy it. So this is something which I always remember very close to my heart. Student-centric focus is something which I really believe in. Connect with the students. Now, there are again two schools of thoughts. There are some leaders who would believe connecting with the students to the core helps them run the school better. And there is another school of thought who will believe that, keeping themselves at a distance, but ensuring everything happens for the better. I would rather prefer the former. But then one has to make the students understand the boundaries very clearly. Because once they are not clear about it, it can put you into some kind of trouble. But that is something which I have always believed, even now, that as a principal, I would normally interact a lot with the students and connect with them much more. Happy workplace is a must if you're a great leader. Please note, if you have the team laughing with you, they will work for you. But if they laugh at you, it's time for you to change yourself or move out. Decentralized leadership is a must again if you want to make leaders, because the nuances of what and how to do will only come when you give the ball in throw the ball in their court. If you keep everything with you, they will never learn. They will keep looking up for you for each and everything. So I always believed in decentralized leadership, and as many times as possible would clearly give them, with clear communication, give them the opportunity to go ahead and succeed. So here comes the next commandment: thou shalt create a culture of joy, for if teachers fear Mondays, you're running a jail and not a school. Technology as an enabler of learning. I am a person of technology, very close to my heart. We did something in 2018 2013 or 2014. It is called the concept mapping clarity. So we had, every topic classified into concepts, and it was an internal documentation, not to be circulated for others, but for the teacher it was of great help. So we would color code them into should know, must know, would know, and don't know. I mean, the red, yellow, blue, and green. And we would try and at the end of the term push all the students who were in the red and yellows into the blues and greens. And it worked beautifully, because the teachers would then identify each and every student as to where he or she is. And by the end of the term, they would have been pushed into the higher bracket. This was all done with the help of the IT, playing with data. And we need the data points, correct data points for it. But in the initial stages, it was slightly cumbersome. But once the teachers took to it, it went beautifully. Be careful with AI. In fact, I was surprised in the poll which Kanak took in the beginning. Nobody talked about AI, how it's going to impact you. A lot of stuff, but I was looking for that AI thing, how it's going to impact you. But one advice to all of you: work with AI. Don't let AI work for you. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Work with AI. As much as you work with it, there is no problem. But if you give complete control to AI and ask it to work for you, now that's calling for danger. So just be careful about it. Always technology should be an enabler, but should not enslave you. Staff development, very, very important, but please ensure the buy-in is there. If you just keep upskilling the staff without even asking them to be a part of it and ensuring that there has to be returns when you do it. And I see some schools, putting in a lot of pressure on them by making them do many courses and implementing many new systems in AI and IT without even giving them the time to kind of deep dive into it and use it realistically. So that is something as a leader, you need to be very careful. So thou shalt treat technology as an enabler and not a master. Now, as a principal or as a leader, crisis management is very, very important, along with money management. And one of the things which is very favorite to me is expect the unexpected. Okay, you should always be prepared for a plan B, plan C, and ma'am said it's plan Z. Yes, it is sometimes possible that all our plans fail, but that's how it is. But SOPs do help. If you have standard operating procedures written for most of the events in your school, it does help, but then it has to be kind of reinvented every time and changed as per your needs. Clear communication is again a very, very important part. Stay calm, communicate clearly, and act fast. That's the mantra which will lead you to success. And please ensure all communication should be in writing. Don't do anything verbal, because that always lands you into trouble. Strategic spending: when you spend money, spend it on the vision, don't spend it on tradition. Sometimes schools keep doing the same thing again year after year. Don't do that. Spend it on the visions. Think at least 5 years, 6 years ahead and try and put the money there and ensure return of investment on whatever you would like to invest in. And the last here is the legal knowledge. As a head of the school, you are expected to know all the legalities of running a school, the POCSO guidelines, the POSH guidelines, and all these guidelines, whichever is applicable to the school, in whichever board it is relevant to. All that is very, very important. And one way of learning it is, of course, going through the documentation. But another way of doing it is go and see various schools. And the kind of learning that happens in those places will be a great asset to you. Keep visiting all the schools. I was sent to Banswara once in a very, very small school as a practical examiner in computer science. Can you believe it? There was no electricity. And I was supposed to take an examination in computer science. But the beauty of it is that those students had prepared the project notebooks in such a beautiful way with the flowchart and algorithms. It was wonderful. I mean, that was learning for me. I didn't expect that to happen. There was no computers, but then they were doing it in the way they could write it. So wonderful. So here is the next commandment: thou shalt be prepared for storms, but face them with calm clarity. Now, all these years that I've been in various roles helped me to get into the position of the principal quite smoothly. There were people who told me, principal banna mushkil hai tumhare liye, because you have not been a housemaster, you can't do it. And I just proved them wrong. It's just your self-belief. If you think you can do it, you can. There was a gentleman by name Mr. R.N. Yadav. उन्होंने एक चीज़ कहा था कि श्रीराम, दुनिया में ना दो लड्डू है, जो खाने भी वाला भी पछताएगा और जो नहीं खाए वो भी पछताएगा. एक है शादी और दूसरा है प्रिंसिपलशिप. मैंने तो दोनों खाया और दोनों पचक गए. Got it digested. Anyway. So when you talk about teachers, which is one of the most important pillar, it's just not about recruiting the best teachers available in the industry, but also to ensure that you have to prepare them. That CPDs are very, very important, and do have a backup plan. Principals in many schools, they have so many engagements, they'll keep traveling. You need to have a backup plan in place who will run the school in your absence. So that is something which you need to be wary of. And then the support. Please note, the key performance indicator in any school is the teacher retention, the parents' trust on the school, and the students' well-being. These are the three most important things that will decide how good you are a principal as. So please concentrate on these areas, and I'm sure it will be a great success. Last is the lead. You should be able to lead the teachers in a way as a role model, and be very, very frank and be authentic in your approach, and it will help you to achieve what is not possible with a team which is demoralized. Just be authentic, and I'm sure you will be able to achieve. And always celebrate the effort and not the results. This is very, very important. Celebrate the effort. In Mann School, I celebrate each and everything. Anybody participates in anything, they are called in the assembly. Just the participation certificates, it is given. There is a Sanskrit shlok. Udyamena siddhyanti karyani na manorathaya nahi supyasya simhasya pravishanti mukemra, which means that even a lion, which is the king of the jungle, doesn't sit idle and expects a prey to come and fall in it. It has to make an attempt. And do you know, a biology teacher would know, lion gets success once in 4 attempts. So as a king of the jungle, if that has to attempt 4 times to get success, we as teachers should be trying much, much harder. So here is the next commandment: thou shalt measure leadership not by position but by the well-being of the people. The true report card. The mental health of the students, I beg your pardon. Just not the counselor, the entire team of all the teachers and the principal included should be working towards and create a very conducive atmosphere for the children to be, living and be happy. Consistent ethics. Again, I'm putting a lot of emphasis on this factor because we need to teach them good etiquettes and manners. At Mann School, we run a program called the Mann School Finishing School, which is exclusively about the etiquettes and manners. Okay, each and every student you would find to be immaculately dressed, the dining cuisine and everything that is expected of a SOV and elite society, we teach them the right things. Please don't stifle student voices. They have to be heard. It is a must if you have to run the school efficiently, especially keeping the present day context in mind. And of course, last, the community impact. Please take the people along, the alumni, the local people. And yes, there is one request, that is, please engage the community when you do a project. If you're doing a project, please ensure that there are some returns for that community. There will be more participation and there will be a lot of learning happening with the students. Leo Tolstoy very nicely and aptly said, all happy people are happy the same way, but all unhappy people are happy in their own way. So very profound statement. So thou shalt place well-being at the heart of schooling, for a joyful mind learns faster than a fearful one. Okay, now these are the 9 traits I believe are the core traits for any leader. If you're heading a school, the first one, of course, is the ethical compass. Again, ethics coming in here. I keep emphasizing on this a lot because you can't take one wrong step, and you have to be the role model if you have to run a school of excellence. Lead from anywhere. I think, nobody can be a better example than me. Though of course the caption reads from the second in line to the principal's chair, for your information, I was never the second in line, officially. It was, I was taking all the responsibilities that came by my way, and it came to a stage where they all felt the ethics. Impact and inspiration. In fact, I would say three things: impact, influence, and inspiration. Three factors. I don't know how many of you have heard of Apollo 13 mission. Apollo 13 mission, I'll take 3 more minutes. Apollo 13 mission is a mission which is exactly about leadership. I would request you to Google for the want of time. Leave a legacy. The legacy should be, how many principles did you produce during your tenure? I'm glad to inform you that today, as I stand before you, Mayo College has 26 principals right now. Amongst all the top schools, there is one sitting there. He was also with me for some time, Shailendra Mishra. He is now a principal of one of the schools. So, I mean, that's the kind of leaders that they produced. I mean, the principals that were there. So, leave the legacy in a way where it continues even after you leave the place. Share failures, very, very important. We have made, failure as a taboo. And I can give you so many examples where people have failed immensely, but yet they have achieved success. And nothing can teach more better than a failure in life. So fail, in fact, stands for first attempt in learning. So please fail as much as you can and celebrate failure. But then the aim should be to achieve success. Grit and conviction, very important for a principal. You will have to meet parents, educational people from education industry. You will have to have the grit and determination. I remember of Major Somnath Paramveer Chakra, the grit and determination he had, who stood by a few men and ensured that the enemies didn't come in at the Battle of Budgam in 1947. We have Kashmir today because of Major Somnath, and that is the kind of grit. He said, "Come what may, I will not give an inch of land." And for 6 hours they were fighting, 500 soldiers fighting against hardly 20 or 25 of them, but he ensured that they stayed there and did not let them in till the forces came in and kind of took over the airport. Please be authentic. As I said, we all try and achieve go for perfection, but then what is important is be authentic, and I'm sure that will give you a lot of success. So thou shalt lead with humility, integrity and empathy, being a ladder, never a ceiling. So that comes to my last slide, my closing reflections. So as a principal, you are going to touch upon the lives of so many people in life. And that legacy will continue after you are gone from the space, and that is what a true legacy is all about. But I always believed principalship is all about passion and not a profession. If one has to be in this field, don't go for the money or the fame behind it. It has to be purely passion. Only then you can succeed in this industry. In the words of Captain Anthony Mullen, who was a Teacher of the Year 2009 in US, Connecticut, he was a police officer for 21 years. He left the profession, took to schooling, and after school, he and a few group of people, all the students that he met during those 21 years going in the wrong ways came to him, and he brought them into the right mainstream. And in his own words, he said, "I'm thankful to these students for giving him an opportunity to be able to shape their lives for a happy ending." How profound the statement is. So, ladies and gentlemen, leadership is not about writing your story, but about becoming a chapter in everybody's story. I take this opportunity to wish each and every leader here that one day I want to see you as principals of top schools of the country, and I'm sure you will. My best wishes are always there with you. And thank you, Ravi, once again for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Maybe we can step there. That black line is for that.
तो ताली बजानी पड़ेगी यार.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope I lived up to your expectations.